Hey everyone, welcome back to the Kubernetes series. In the last video, we talked about what Kubernetes is and why it's useful. Today we are going one step even deeper and we are going to look how Kubernetes is built internally using this simple diagram. And don't worry, if you don't know what's going on here or what these word actually means, I'll keep it super simple. No complicated words, and by the end, you'll know what happens behind the scene when you deploy your microservice or an application into the Kubernetes. So let's jump right on it. So this whole thing that you see here is your Kubernetes cluster. So you can think of it like a team. So there's a group of people managing things within the team. So that's this. And there's other part of the group that's actually doing the work. And that's this on your right hand side. The management part or the managing part is actually called the control plane. And the working part, this, are actually called the worker nodes. Now what's going within the control plane and the worker nodes? We'll talk through this video. So let me just zoom in a bit. Now, first thing we have to understand is what's going on within this box. The control plane. It controls and monitors everything within your Kubernetes cluster. So let's understand what's actually going within this control plane box. So this basically controls and monitors everything that's going within your control plane. So let's understand each and every component of the control plane because it's really important to understand what these are and how these works. Then only we'll be able to understand what worker nodes are and what's going inside the worker nodes. So I would suggest make sure to keep notes what we are learning here because it will be useful and you might have to refer back to your notes. Now, first thing we should understand is what is this kube-apiserver? So this is like front end of your Kubernetes. By front end, I means an API. So in Kubernetes, we do all the things using a CLI command or CLI tool called kubectl. Kubectl interacts with your Kubernetes through this kube-apiserver. So this kube-apiserver actually contains, or it is itself a microservices that contains all the APIs through which we interact with our applications. So this is the front end of your Kubernetes. And whenever you give commands using kubectl, they come here in your API server first. It checks if the request is valid, authenticated, and the person is authorized, then passes it to the right component. Then we have another component called etc. So think of it as a simple database. So it stores everything like which apps are running in your cluster, where are they, their addresses, and how many copies of the apps are running. So it contains all the configurations of your microservices, like where it is running, how it is running, and how many replicas does it have. We'll talk about replicas in much more detail, but for now, think of replicas as just copies of your application. Then we have this scheduler, kube-scheduler. So what it does, it looks at all the available nodes. And when I say available nodes, I mean worker nodes. And this is where we have the logic that decides where to put the pod, or for now, where to put the application. Then we have this guy called control manager. In simple word, control manager is responsible for checking is everything okay within the cluster. So if your pod crashes or something goes wrong or disappears, it tells Kubernetes to create a new one because something has gone wrong with the pod. And then last we have cloud controller manager. This part actually talks to your cloud provider. That could be AWS, that could be Azure, that could be GCP, that could be DigitalOcean, anything. So this is what's responsible for talking to your cloud provider or major cloud provider. It can ask the cloud provider for new load balancer, for new storage, for IPs, and all those different things. Now that we have solid understanding of what control plane is and what its components are and how they work, let's move on to worker nodes and its component. So worker nodes basically are the machines that actually run your applications. It can run different number of applications depending upon the resource we are requesting for each application. So let's look at the component. So each worker node has its own kubelet. Kubelet is, it basically talks to your control plane. So kubelet is that connection that makes your worker node and control plane talk to each other. It listens to the control plane. So when it's told to run a part, it makes sure that part runs properly on the node, and once it's healthy, it tells the control plane that part is healthy. Then we have kube-proxy. So obviously when we are running different services and microservices and applications, we need networking. So for now, understand that kube-proxy takes care of all the networking aspect of your application and how they will communicate with different apps or microservices or services. So it forwards traffic and helps your app talk to each other inside the cluster. And then we have the smallest unit of Kubernetes cluster called pods. You will hear this term quite often, so it's important you understand what pods is. One common misconception is that pod is a machine. Pod itself is not a machine. It's running on a machine, but in an isolated environment. So pod is actually where your microservices or application lives. They live inside the pods. So pod is like a wrapper around your containers. Each pod can run one or multiple containers. We will talk about multi container pods and all those things, but those are a bit advanced topic. So we'll talk about them later on, but do understand that each pod can run one or multiple containers. You can see that node 1 and node 2 have these components, and your app might be running on either one of them depending on how this scheduler decides and where to decide. It could be based on resource, it could be based on toleration, taints, and if you don't know what these terms means, you will just bear with me and follow along with the playlist. Now, one more thing that we should talk about is this cloud provider API. What is this? So again, you might have understood by now that this is how Kubernetes talk to the cloud. For example, if your cluster needs a new virtual machine, in case of AWS, if your cluster needs a new EC2 machine, this is how control plane talks to your cloud provider. What if your cluster needs new storage volume? It will again talk to your cloud provider for that. What if you need a load balancer for your application? Again, your cloud provider will talk to, your control plane will talk to cloud provider via API. And this is all managed through Cloud Controller Manager and how it talks to your cloud provider API. So let's quickly go through the flow and tie it all together. So you run kubectl apply command in your Kubernetes or within your Kubernetes. That request goes through kube-apiserver. The scheduler picks up the request and picks a node. The control manager checks everything is set. The chosen node's kubelet, let's say if this node is chosen, its kubelet creates a pod, and we have the pod here, and your app is up and running. Now this is while your etcd stores what's happening and kube-proxy handles all the networking. That's how Kubernetes architecture works. Now, this is very high level view, but I hope you understand what I mean. And we'll understand each of these topics and each of these words and use them in much more detail. Now, I know it may look scary at first, but once you break it down, it's just well organized system of managers and workers. Now, next up, we'll actually install local cluster on your machine using Minikube, so you can try all this yourself and see how all things are clubbed together and they're working all together. So if you like the video, if this helped you any bit, subscribe so you don't miss the hands-on setup. Comment below if you have any questions, obviously, and see you in the next one. Thank you.